In this video series, I am going to be going over ways that I would improve Stalker 2. There are a lot of things that are just like minor issues that I have with the game as well as a lot of people have with the game. So first, let's talk about economy, equipment, durability, and to some degree weapon balance. So all of these things are kind of interconnected. So the big issue a lot of people have with Stalker 2 are the repair costs. Even if you do everything right, you kill a bunch of enemies, you loot their highest value items, you get an occasional artifact here and there, you can still run into issues where repairing is very expensive. So for example, repairing all of my stuff will cost me 3k right now. This suit has 1% damage, that's not really that bad, but repairing my weapon is going to cost me 3k. And if we go to other things, like let's say I have some other suits of armor that need repaired, like assuming that this is the suit I was using, 12k to repair this, I think it's at like 80%. So the repair costs are very high and they do scale with upgrades. So upgrades are arguably something that you always are going to be investing in. And I do think that the fact that it increases the value of the item and therefore the repair cost is kind of weird because like upgrades themselves are very expensive. So I think one of the most obvious changes is to have repair cost be based on the base value of the item rather than the upgraded value of the item. Now you could argue that you're upgrading it, it's more complicated, it should cost more to repair. That kind of makes sense to some degree, assuming that these upgrades are substantial, but most upgrades slightly improve the effectiveness of whatever equipment you're running. So for example, if I run a base Diamond's exoskeleton and don't do anything to it, it's going to be really good. I don't really need to upgrade it. But if I want to add like lead containers, I wouldn't argue it's now twice as good as the one I had before. So like you're not really getting like twice the stats. So if your repair costs are jumping even by like 50%, which is generally the case, or in some cases more, you end up having to pay way more just to run the gear. And I think that's punishing upgrading, because you could also argue that upgrades are already very expensive. And in order to max out a suit, you have to dump like, you know, in some cases like hundreds of thousands into it. But at least like 100 to 200k. And for most guns, if you want to max out a gun, it costs you like a good gun is like 40 to 50k, sometimes way more than that. Like this aim through night vision adapter, it costs me 12k. That's just been added, which also then increases the repair costs of that gun. So I think that's one of the big changes they need to remove. The other thing I would do is generally just increase durability of weapons and armor. So in real life, you can shoot a bolt action rifle, like you can send like 5,000 rounds through it, and the barrel will degrade a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean like your accuracy will become slightly worse. Not substantially worse, slightly worse. Now, does it have to be realistic? Does everything have to be realistic? No. But I do think that weapons and armor degrade way too quickly. Armor degrading quickly kind of makes sense because you're getting shot, you're getting hit with, you know, huge mutant attacks and claws and stuff. But I think that everything should be degrading slower to also reduce this like constant economy pressure. I would like there to be other ways for you to spend money for it to be interesting, but I'll be getting that into a separate video. But for now, I think they should slightly either reduce repair cost overall, remove the fact that the improving of items, like upgrading items, increases repair costs, and also increase the durability across the board. Because generally you can't carry that much with you. So like unless you have like an exosuit and a bunch of carry weight artifacts, you can't really carry like a ton of things with you. So even just getting enough stuff to sell to repair your gear is an issue for a lot of players. For me, it isn't really. So like I'm not really advocating this for myself. I just understand for enjoyment of the game, a lot of people find it to be kind of more on the tedious side to just be hauling stuff constantly and like running from, you know, like a loot location to a settlement back to a loot location and like picking up all the guns. So I think that would go a long way. The other thing I would like to see too has to do with the guns themselves. So a lot of people, myself included, like the AK and the M4 and some of the early guns. I've always been a huge MP5 fan. I've run it in every single Modern Warfare game I played. It's just a nice looking gun. It's a classic. AK-74U is also pretty cool. We should be able to take an early game weapon and pay to have it upgraded to be as good or at least a little bit worse than endgame weapons. Because realistically, an M4 and an AK are military grade weapons. Like these are not like a 22 or something. Like realistically, at the very least, we should be able to grab, you know, an AK or whatever and upgrade it. Here, let's filter by that. So I should be able to upgrade this so that it at least has enough damage and penetration to be good in endgame. There's no reason why it shouldn't. Because this way you can still have it be an early game weapon, but you can also upgrade it so that it can be used in middle and end game with a high degree of effectiveness. And it could be as, like, you could just have it be as good as a knee pro. So, like, just have it scale up to, like, a Karate or a knee pro with upgrades. Or maybe a little bit worse or a little bit better. Make the upgrades expensive if that's, like, the balancing thing. So that way, early game, you can't just, like, pump this thing full of upgrades and make it overpowered as hell, because it would cost you too much to do, and it'd be hard to do that just off of cost. So that would be an easy way to fix the same thing for the Viper and for all the early game weapons. Just allow us to upgrade them so they're still useful. I think that would be fine. Maybe there's like a new tier where it's like upgrade the entire quality of the gun. It costs like 25,000 to upgrade it into like a middle game tier, and then like 50,000 upgrade into an end game tier. And then maybe make the base repair cost different, because obviously if you're changing weapon quality, like if you're going from an early game pea shooter to an end game, exosuit killer, then the base repair cost should increase. In that case, it makes sense, because if we go by the low base repair costs, as I outlined earlier with armor, that would make the early game guns better, because then you would just upgrade them and then the repair costs would be dirt cheap. Which maybe that could be an advantage to them. I don't know. But either way, I feel like the MP5 is used in the military, in the police departments and stuff, and AK-74 and M4, high quality military grade weapons, so they should be able to be upgraded. Same thing for middle game weapons. Let us upgrade middle game weapons to end game quality. So like the Fora should be similar damage to like a Karate or something at the very least. I think that's more than fair. The Fora doesn't even have underbarrel attachments, so the Karate would still be better even if it had the same damage as the Fora. But this would allow you to use the Fora and, not feel like you're using a pea shooter that takes like 7 headshots to kill an exo with armor piercing rounds. So I think those would be good changes to the economy, as well as to like armor and stuff. And that would also reduce pressure for people to carry tons of items, which most people don't like hauling, myself included. Being over encumbered in these games can be kind of annoying, and most people don't find it to be fun. Also, there's a perfect solution to this, weird water, but it makes you drunk constantly. So, you're basically forced to go get weird water if you want to play remotely optimally. And then when you have weird water, you just slap it on to carry a bunch of stuff, haul it back, and have a good time, make a bunch of money. But I think that would be a huge change to, the game that would matter. And these are not like, these would not be difficult to implement. These are like value changes, maybe a little bit of code here and there, but not like, I'm not like saying, hey, we need like 50 new items or whatever. Like, just add new perks to guns, increase durability, make it so that the upgrades do not increase the repair costs, unless it's like going from like a early game to a middle game to an end game weapon in terms of base stats, which I think would be fine. And they could have like reskins. There could be like different skins. So like you could have like the AKM-74S, and then there could be like an AKA or an AKM-74S Plus or whatever they want to do. And it could be like different colors, look like more factory new type of thing. That would be cool. That would be sick, actually, because then there'd be tiers to them. So then you could like visually be like, oh, that's a starter M4, that's a middle game M4, that's an end game M4. And also, I mean, this might be asking for a lot, but can we get camo? Can we get like red tiger, blue tiger, digital camo? I have like a laundry list of things. This is a stretch. This is texture work. They'd have to have their artists do this. Camo would be sick as hell. Like, imagine you can get like an AK with camo and stuff, like in Modern Warfare or Battlefield or whatever. That would be nice. But yeah, that's it for this one. I just want to talk about changes I would make to specific aspects of the game to improve it that would not be that difficult to implement. All right, if you enjoyed this, definitely like and subscribe. And if you have anything to add, drop a comment and let me know what you think. What changes would you make to improve the game in terms of repair cost and upgrades? And that is it for this one. Peace.